Now, this is my favorite part of the series we're currently doing, picking every single game in the NFL season, because we get to talk about my favorite team. I don't know, guys. Can you guess who it is? Can you guess
Is it
who
the
it is? Can you guess who
Cardinals?
I cheer for? That's right,
Caleb,
the
big
Arizona
Kyle,
Cardinals.
Caleb, the big Kyler
Yeah,
Murray fan
the
over here.
Murray. Yeah, let's go, Jonathan Gannon taking us to the promised land. No, fuck the Cardinals. Seahawks are going to win the division, or are they? That's
Or
what
are
this series is all about.
they?
We've picked every single
Gosh,
game.
you spoiled it already.
Oh
30
boy,
seconds in.
that viewer retention bar just dropped like a rock.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
But no, you don't know what we're gonna pick, despite everything that's going on here.
Know.
I may surprise you. We picked every single game. We're
He
gonna go
probably
through
won't,
every
but he
team,
might.
kind of.
You never know.
Yeah, we'll see.
Anybody
we're
who's
gonna
around from like last NFL season might remember some of Caleb's picks, but or the last iteration of this series might remember Caleb's picks.
Hey, I've grown as a man.
Yeah.
I've matured, and now I'm here today. That's all I'll say. That's all I'll say.
With a Seahawks
I've
flag
had
over his
100%
head.
confident. I'm 100% confident in all of my picks today. That's all I'll say. So,
Terrific.
I feel like I did a poor job of explaining what we're doing, but we're gonna go through every team. We're gonna start last place, go on to first place, what record we have for them, how we think they're gonna do. Simon, who do you have in last place in the NFC West?
All right. I will emphasize that I have it being fairly close. Fairly close. And this this is where it gets controversial.
Oh,
I got
God.
the LA Rams. This is gonna be a fun week for me.
God.
This is gonna be a fun week for me. I'm opening with that. I'm opening up with this. This is gonna be a fun fucking week for me because I have so many accidental controversial picks in here. It is insane.
Oh my God.
So I'm gonna do my best. I'm gonna do my best to defend past Simon's takes here. But all I'll say is after doing this, I did a Madden rebuild with the Cardinals and just instantly regretted a lot of my picks here. Slight spoiler. Look forward to that. But anyway, I got the LA Rams. If we want to talk about them first, we can.
Yeah.
I had the Cardinals up. I
have to change over all my stuff.
I was gonna say I was on the Cardinals too. But anyway, I have the Cardinals in last, or not Cardinals. I have the Rams in last. Talking about the Cardinals too much. I got the Rams in last. I got them going 8-9, which again, not necessarily terrible. Fairly equal. Fairly
So that's two wins off of what they had last year.
Yeah.
That's 2 wins less.
And they lost Aaron Donald.
That's not that far off.
It's not that far off.
Yes.
They lost Aaron Donald. Their defense is going to be a lot worse this year. They did add Davius White, excuse me. So at least their secondary, assumingly... Very injured, but their secondary might get better. I don't have a lot of trust in that D-line necessarily after losing Aaron Donald. That's a huge hole to fill for whoever gets slid in there. Their offense is still fine. They've still got Matthew Stafford, still got Williams. One of the best wide receiver rooms in the NFL right there with Cooper Kupp and Puka Nacua. They've got a lot going for them on offense, but I don't know. Past Simon sure thought that they'd be bad, so I've got them going 8-9. Where do you got the Cardinals?
That wasn't a very that wasn't a very spirited defense of the Rams there.
Well, it's hard to defend to defend a team you have going 8-9. Truthfully, when I look at it, I think this team's mediocre anyway. So I think if I were to give a pick, and we've talked about this tons through this series. If you were to walk up to me on the street and ask me what I think the Rams would go this year, I'd probably say 9-8. That's a 1-game difference. So at the end of the day, it's just I don't know. It's not that bonkers of a pick. I don't think. Yeah. The next one's a bit more bonkers for me.
I think this is refreshing for me to see someone hate on the Rams because I've seen way too much Rams praise and it's kind of nauseating. I think I've talked about this before. I listened to that podcast where it's like Rams are the second best offense in the league and it makes me want to shoot myself. But yeah, so to hear a little bit of Rams hate is refreshing. Yeah, I know. We've talked about that take before. It was not a good take.
I don't remember talking about that.
Yeah, it was. I think that was my anti shout out one week.
Oh, maybe. I mean, I don't necessarily like. I don't think it's crazy at all to say like top. I don't want to say top 5,
15.
but part of me thinks top 5. They've got so much talent in all the skill
No.
positions, and Stafford's still a good quarterback when he's not hurt.
Yes.
Like healthy, they've got a very
That is
good
a big
offense.
if. That's a big if.
Yeah, but when you're talking about best offenses in the NFL, you're talking about on paper. You're not talking about like I picture on paper. On paper, no injuries. I would give you top 5.
Yeah, I don't know about that.
I think their defense is where they're
top
probably
5 is
going to be
really.
let down.
I would agree. I do think that their offense is the strong side of this team. Because yeah, if I am to get into what I think about the Rams, while I do like the Rams hate, I can't say that I'm going to be doing the same. This might be a shock to some people. I actually have them second in the division. They're going 10-7, so not that much better record-wise, but second in the division.
Wait a minute, Caleb.
and-
I was telling you I thought I was going to get destroyed in the comments in this section. Are you saving me? Are you being the martyr here?
I mean, it's a very safe. I don't know what you're saying. I think it's a very safe pick.
In second?
From me because
Well, it depends
Yeah,
where you
I
got the
basically
Seahawks, I guess.
I have them. Okay, well we'll see.
We'll see. We'll see.
We'll very much see about that.
We will see.
So I have them at 10-7, finishing second in the division, which is literally the exact same thing they did last year. So I basically have them staying even.
Yeah.
And I mean, you look at this roster minus the giant Aaron Donald departure, it's mostly staying the same. I worry about this roster once Matthew Stafford starts to show his age. I mean, with injuries he kind of already has, but going into the season, not predicting any of that, obviously. Like, their offense still looks great. I think their defense is solid. Losing Aaron Donald is going to be huge, and I think Kobe Turner is very overrated and got a lot of his production and got a lot of this defensive rookie of the year buzz because he played next to Aaron Donald. It
That definitely
doesn't take a rocket scientist to show that if you play next to one of the greatest defensive players of all time, you're going to get a lot of sacks because they're not going to be focusing on you. He's going to be the number one focus now on that defensive line. We'll see how he lives up to it. Witherspoon, oh my God, so much of a better player. So fuck you, Kobe Turner, for that, I guess. But that's kind of besides the point. Some of these additions on defense, though, I do think help balance it out, and which is why I'm a little bit higher on them than you are. I do like their draft picks. Getting Jared Verse and Braden Fisk back to back. Jared Verse is their first round pick in like so long.
Yeah.
That's really going to help them. Tre'Davious White, like we talked about, if he's healthy, he'll be fantastic. Cameron Curl at safety is another player I actually really like. I think he played great in Washington. So it'll be nice to see him get a little bit more of the spotlight here in LA. I do like a lot of the additions that they brought into this defense. They're going to be worse than they were last year.
Yeah.
But I don't think it's enough to this point. I think their overall talent minus the Aaron Donald effect is honestly a little bit better on defense. So I'm looking at the Rams and I'm saying, yeah, as much as it makes me squirm, 10-7 feels about right for me. I don't see them tanking in quality yet. I think that's to come once Matthew Stafford drops off. Once he does, the Rams do too. But for now, I think they'll be kind of staying even keeled. And Sean McVay always helps too.
Yeah. Do we want to move on to who you have in last? Gosh, I wonder.
We can move on to who I have in last. I think the most controversial pick that you have here, Simon, is that you don't have the Cardinals in last. I'm very interested to see where you. Yeah. So that's fucking ridiculous. I'm sorry. But like, yeah.
I wonder. You know what?
Gonna be in last.
I do remember. Part of me wonders if I was just trying to like screw myself in the future. Like I'm honestly starting to think that. Like maybe past Simon was like, "Let's see him defend this one." Well, that's what I'm thinking.
This means you probably have the card. Okay, well, I mean, do you want
We'll
to say where you have the?
No. You go first. You go first.
I'll give my Cardinals take first. Okay, we'll leave the thermonuclear one for later. So I have the Cardinals doing shit because they're a shit team. I have them going 5. I'd have to pull up 5-12. Is that how many games we play now? Yep. I don't know. 5-12. a 1 game improvement on last year. I mean, obviously Marvin Harrison's going to help.
Yeah.
That's going to be a fantastic addition there. But past that, I mean, their defense is so sketchy. I don't know. I don't see anybody on that defense that really stands out aside from like Buda Baker. Their offense is better. Having Kyler Murray the whole year, I mean, people forget that Kyler Murray didn't start for the Cardinals for a lot of that. I think that will help them. But yeah, no, this team is nowhere close to where it needs to be to contend. That's another 2 to 3 years out, just because they don't have those pieces. They have the start of something. I think they will look really competitive in a lot of games. I think they will upset some teams they're not supposed to beat, but they're not going to be like world beaters or anything. I think I'm not going to go back to the screen to check because I think it just lags down my computer, but I think I have them 13th in the conference. So they're not last. They're not like bringing up the rear like they were last year. It's a marginal improvement, which feels about right for where they're at. All right, Simon, why do you have the Cardinals going 17-0?
You know, I don't have that, but let me paint you a picture here. All these, and I want you to think about it. It's not that far-fetched. It's not that far-fetched for this to happen, okay? Imagine a world where Kyler Murray turns into the next Russell Wilson, throws no picks all season. James Conner, Marshawn Lynch's his way into the end zone every single time. Marvin Harrison Jr. is the best rookie wide receiver that the entire NFL has ever seen. This offense, first in the conference. Zaven Collins becomes the most elite pass rusher you've ever seen in your life. Buda Baker breaks the pick record, and they go an astounding 8-9.
I mean, honestly, I think that's what it would take for them to get to 8-9. Like,
there you go. I don't know what my goal was putting them 8-9, but there's my attempt to defend it. I don't got much for you. I won't try and pretend. I do not necessarily fully agree with the pick I made here, but I mean, honestly, they're better than they were last year. You never know. that's my real argument. I have them third. I have them third in the conference. So yeah, they're tied with the Rams.
Ever so marginally.
Ever so
marginally better.
Yeah. That's true. I mean, you never know. The NFL is a crazy place. I will say, if I am right, it will be the craziest pick in trick play history.
The craziest pick that's a losing season.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. All right. I mean, we can move on. That's all I got to say on it. I got them going 8-9. You have them going. This might be the biggest discrepancy we've had so far. In this, which wouldn't surprise me. It probably is. A four game difference is quite a bit.
Yeah. Well, no, I had a 3-game difference. I had them going 5-12.
Oh right, never mind. I don't know how to do math.
Four games from what they did last year.
Yeah.
Now I think the most surprising discrepancy will come with our next team, because I have the Cardinals in 4th, but I have the Rams in 2nd. So I'll reveal my 3rd place team. And now, you may call me a homer. You may say that I'm ridiculous.
Do it.
Just kidding. I told you I've evolved. I have the Seahawks in 3rd.
Damn it! Damn it! It would have been so good. Oh, the clips.
I know you want it. I know you want it for the clips. I don't know. I honestly think that's even more surprising than if I put the Niners in 3rd. I'm not letting
the Niners in 3rd would have been way more controversial.
But to anybody who like looks at this, I don't think it would be controversial. It would be controversial, but I don't think it would be surprising. Is what I'm saying.
Well, we could talk about
in the bottom half of the division. Yeah, so obviously I'm gonna have a fucking shit ton to say about this. I don't need to pull up no fucking depth chart.
Go ahead.
I've got this in the back of my head. So, to say that the Seahawks are 3rd. Oh, I should have said for the Rams, I have them going 10-7, making the playoffs as the 6th seed. The fuck is going on over there?
No, keep going. I'm switching hats solely for the Seahawks. I'll do that.
There we go. But no, so I do have the Rams at 10-7 and making the playoffs. I also have the Seahawks at 10-7 and making the playoffs. The Rams as the 6th seed, the Seahawks as the 7th seed. Um, Now that I think that automatically kind of like scales back the hot take level of my pick as a Seahawks fan.
Yeah.
I'm not saying they're going to miss the playoffs, even though they're third in the division. I still have them making the playoffs barely. Still have them going 10-7, a 1-win improvement on last year, and I think they are much improved from last year. And that starts at coach, because Pete Carroll, as great as he was, it was time for him to go, because put to it simply, while Pete was a great locker room guy, a great motivator, the Seahawks dynasties of the past would not have existed without him. His time was up in that he was a defensive coach and the defense was shit. The defense was complete shit. It was the reason that we lost last year. People blaming stuff on Geno, people blaming it on the offense. The offense wasn't perfect, but by no means was that the issue with this team. When you see Najee Harris go for like 250 yards in a must-win game because your run defense can't stop shit, when every single third down is a pass completion, slow ass Bobby Wagner. I love you, Bobby, but like you can't keep up anymore.
It was time.
It's just sitting there in the middle of the field. Yeah, I don't know. That was what broke us, and we got the best defensive coach in the NFL to be our head coach. I don't think that can be understated. And he has so much talent at his disposal. I think Clint Hurt was way out of his depth. I think Pete Carroll's style of football, is a little bit outdated at this point. I do think it was all coaching. I expect huge improvements from the Seahawks this year. 10-7 can ultimately be boiled down to he is still a first-year head coach. There's going to be some bumps in the road. I actually have them starting out fairly strong just because their schedule is fairly weak at the start. But it's the Seahawks. They're going to drop some fucking games that you're like, what the hell is happening here? Like, I have them losing to the Falcons, I believe, just because, like, that happens all the time with the Seahawks.
Falcons aren't bad. They're pretty good.
No, but that's a game I think the Seahawks should win. Like, I could see them losing that. I have the Seahawks getting swept by the Rams, which is just kind of like that happens. The Seahawks have not been able to beat the Rams under Sean once they've had Sean McVay as their coach. The Seahawks have been the Rams have been the Seahawks kryptonite. Who knows what that'll happen with Mike McDonald, but all of that to say,
I think that was a big part of that too. I feel like Aaron Donald just like injected steroids up his ass every time he went down to play the Seahawks. That was usually not a fun game to watch.
No, both Rams games last year were incredibly painful, and I don't unfortunately anticipate that stopping. But to kind of all bring that to a head, I think the Seahawks are much improved from last year, but I think it'll be more in competitiveness than win total. Obviously, making the playoffs, big improvement from last year, 10-7, 1-win improvement from last year. But I just think we'll see this defense look like a much more cohesive unit, and we'll go into the playoffs thinking, hey, maybe we can pull off a run. Like, maybe we can be this underdog team that just kind of goes in and upsets somebody, versus last year where it's like, even if we snuck into the playoffs, it's like, yeah, we're getting our asses handed to us by the first team we play. I have a lot of promise going into this year. I think the biggest thing that pisses me right off is all the people who are like, I heard one guy give a hot take on a podcast. It's like, oh yeah, the Cardinals could finish on top of the Seahawks. Fuck off. Like, fuck off with that bullshit. It's not happening. Yeah, no. The Seahawks are just too good to have that happen to them. They're obviously not like upper echelon at this point. Like, they're not going to battle the Niners for the division crown. It'll just be a dogfight with the Rams for second and third. I have it basically coming down to head-to-head tiebreaker. Seahawks third, Rams second.
Yep. Me and you are not far on this one. I have them getting one less win, going 9-8. Which I think is the same as last year, isn't it? So yep, I have them doing about the same. Years. Oh, really? Jesus. And the funny thing is that makes a lot of sense, because when I look at this team, honestly, with the current core that we have, I think it's a bit better. I do agree with you. I think the coaching will have some sort of a factor. I don't know. It feels like a 9-8 team. When I look at it, I just go, it's fine. If they get hot, I'm sure they can win more games. The defense looks fine. The corners are obviously still going to be. That's the big strength of this team, is having Tariq Woolen and Witherspoon. Both of them are going to carry, but I mean, I don't know. Like, the offense still looks very, very similar to last year, and it wasn't very impressive last season. There's just not necessarily a lot. I think if the coaching comes out, they have enough talent where if the coaching changes actually work and they go 10-7, it's not like I'd be surprised. Or hell, if they even do somehow better. But I think I don't know. I feel fairly confident in this one. Out of all of the picks, well, that's not true. Out of most of the picks in this division, I would say I'm fairly confident on the 9-8. I think that's about. I feel like it's the safe pick, but it's about where they're going to land. They haven't gotten much better.
I don't know if I necessarily agree with that. I do think you kind of underestimate the level of talent that is on this team. I just think it hasn't been unlocked yet. Like, there are many strengths on this defense aside from just corner. Like, I do think our well, maybe not our whole front seven. I think our defensive line is going to be the best it's been in probably a decade. Because you have Boye Mafe, who had a huge breakout season last year. You have, and this is the big, like, this is how you know, like, if you're a Seahawks fan and you were watching the games, this is the player you're like, nobody's talking about him, but everybody should be. He was one of the best players on that defense last year before he got hurt, and that's Uchenna Nwosu.
Yep.
Nwosu, I don't have the stat in front of me, but if people want to look more into this, take a look at the run defense stats that Seattle had before Nwosu got hurt and after, because I believe the Seahawks were top 10 in rush defense before Nwosu got hurt, and then they were bottom 2. Now, obviously not all of that is Nwosu, but that's a pretty big difference, and he's been looking great at camp. I don't know. I'm just like, I know our records aren't that different. I'm just a lot more optimistic about this team because I really do feel like there was a lot of talent on this team last year that just wasn't being utilized properly. And now that people are getting healthy and we have new coaches in place, I'm really optimistic about the future. Like, I do think this will be kind of a building block season that then the Seahawks can step into a contender role. Like, that's what I'm hoping for. Now, maybe that's rose-colored glasses, but
I think it is a building season. I think you have to be hopeful that whatever happens the season after this one will be better. I think that is just what you're looking at when you look at this team. There's a lot of young pieces. There's a lot of things that could happen to potentially improve this team. You never know. Maybe by next year, Sam Howell's the starter. Like, there's just a lot of different things that you don't think so. Well, I threw it out there. You never know. You never know. There's a lot of things that could change.
I'll be disappointed.
I'll be disappointed
if that's our reality.
Why? Do you think they'll draft, or do you think Gino's going to stay?
I could see them. Yeah, it's tough. I think quarterback down the road is probably their most difficult challenge, but I don't know. Unless we see a drop off from Gino, I'm not opposed to sticking it out with him for a little bit longer. Drafting maybe a guy in the second round or something and just developing him.
He doesn't necessarily have a style that's going to age too poorly. I mean, he entered his prime.
No, and he played great last year.
Yeah,
and he played great last year. That's another one of the things is people saying like, oh, Gino had a big like step down last year. That was not Gino's fault. Offensive line was very suspect. Play calling was very suspect. Gino still performed really well. And I'm expecting him to look even better this year. Especially with like the coaching changes come to the side of the offense too. Like Ryan Grubb from Washington is a huge coaching hire. And with all this, like we saw that Washington offense produce multiple NFLers, 2 top 10 picks in Penix and Odunze.
Right.
And if anybody watched any of those games last year, there's a reason to be excited. I think that I mean that's I could talk about the Seahawks for hours.
Do you want to move on to the 49ers here? Do we want to make an effort to actually finish this in under 30 minutes? That would be rather impressive.
That would be impressive considering the division we're covering. But we'll see.
Yes.
I mean, I fucking hate the Niners, so I can go on for a while about them.
Yeah.
Who?
Well,
Where do you have the Niners, Simon? You
golly
can go
gosh.
first. I've been
Golly
talking too
gosh.
much.
I got puny arm Purdy and his merry band of misfits here. I got them. So unsurprised. I know this is a crazy take. I've got them going second in the division. I think not division, second in the conference, not division. I have the Cardinals going first. You got to remember that, Caleb. But I have them second in the conference, right. And I have them going a very nice record of 13-4. They are so good. They are so good. It's not fair. They've got so much talent. Like the fact that they were at that. I don't even know. I don't even know where to start with this team. They haven't really gotten worse. It's the same team they had last year for the most part. It's just at this point, I think we all know what to expect from the Niners. They just are going to bring their A game and they're going to kick everyone's ass. And I think I don't know. I have a hard time betting against them when they continue to bring this type of team over and over. Thankfully, they're going to have to pay Purdy at some point here. I think next season, actually. So, I mean, hopefully that improves things a little bit, having to pay him. But I don't know. I'll throw it over to you because I know you are just sitting on all of a whole bunch of things you have to say on the Niners. But I don't know. Yeah. At least to me, I have a hard time finding a hole, truthfully, in just their team.
I would generally agree. I also have them second in the conference. I have them one win worse at 12-5. But the thing I will say is that I do think that this is almost sort of a last dance for the Niners. Because I think this is the last year where they will really be able to keep all those core pieces together. And I think you can already sort of start to see it in what's happening this offseason. We've had a whole segment about what's going to happen with Ayuk. And how he will likely be gone at some point. You just brought up a Purdy extension. That is going to completely kneecap them cap space-wise, because one of the reasons they've been able to be so good these last few years, aside from all the other
stuff, was on this team. Sorry to interrupt. I didn't even know that. Yeah. That's hilarious.
Yeah.
But just to give them a good... if Purdy goes down, they're not even fucked.
No, it's true. But I don't know. I think the Purdy extension will be a big thing just because obviously you're paying him as Mr. Irrelevant and you're having one of the... I still think to say one of the better quarterbacks in the NFL is a bit hyperbole, but one of the best quarterbacks at running that Shanahan system. He's done really well at that.
All I'm going to say, talent-wise, it's not like I disagree with you. But when you're that good at running a certain system, you do not need to be the most talented quarterback in the world. He is one of the most effective quarterbacks in the NFL, and you cannot disagree with that.
You could probably put me in there running the Shanahan system with that talent, and I'd probably get at least 6 to 7 wins. I don't know.
Actually, yeah, CMC might be able to carry you.
Yeah, the brilliance of how Shanahan's system works is that it's a lot of short passing. It's a lot of using your skill players to get yards in the ground. Like Purdy just has to be a distributor, but they're gonna have to pay him a big money quarterback.
Pull up Madden, put a 35 overall Caleb Peterson at quarterback for the 49ers.
I think I'd do okay. Okay. Yeah. In my Madden franchise, I've led the Giants to 2 Super Bowls, so what say you to that?
Have you really?
I have. I have.
Right.
It's very
whatever
impressive.
You say, Mr. All-Pro. Whatever difficulty you play on.
To get back to the... You nailed it. To get back to the Niners, I will say Yeah, once this Purdy extension kicks in, I think it's going to be very difficult for them because their offense is very predicated around having these skill players all around them, having a Deebo Samuel, having a Brandon Ayuk, having a George Kittle, having even a Trent Williams. That's another person who's holding out from camp because he doesn't have any guaranteed money left in his contract. So all those pieces, like I think if you take out even one of those pieces, the offense starts to look a little bit shakier. If you take out two, I do think it kind of falls apart. Um, so
Yeah.
I don't see a world in which they can keep all of them beyond this year. And there's even questions whether they will have all of them this year. So I definitely am thinking like this is very much a last dance for them, especially with the fact that I think the Seahawks are getting better. The Rams are still probably going to be a threat next year. If Stafford's still okay, the Cardinals are going to be getting better. It's definitely kind of the end of the road. You also have to worry about a bit of a Super Bowl hangover. I mean, that's less of a quantifiable thing. But there has been that kind of pattern in the past of you lose a Super Bowl and then a bit of an inevitable letdown after that.
Yeah, it's crazy they've never
that
won
happened.
one.
That
They
happened
haven't
with the
won one with this
Niners
team.
after.
Yeah, it's just.
I think it's fucking fantastic, personally.
Oh, I'm
I've
sure.
never been so
I'm
happy
sure.
in my life.
No, it's the same. It's how I feel about the Oilers right now. But like, it's but it's just insane with the amount of talent they have. It's just it'd be one of the biggest. I think if they go and have a good run and lose in the conference even this year, I feel and that's it. And all of a sudden everybody goes their separate ways. They give Purdy a massive contract and they show up next year a lot worse. And that's just kind of the end of this. The crazy thing is we can't even call it a dynasty because they haven't won anything. They haven't won anything. But the amount of talent we saw on this team, I'm sure 10 years down the road we're going to be talking about it. If they don't win a chip, it'll be one of the biggest letdowns from just a talent-wise. It's absolutely insane.
Yeah.
Like you've been talking about Shanahan's scheme even, right? The fact that he doesn't have a Super Bowl with how well he's been coaching is insane.
Even as a coordinator, right? Like he was the Falcons coordinator for 28-3. Yeah, it's definitely
it's remarkable.
Definitely a huge. Oh yeah. So I don't know. I think their players will be motivated. But I mean, you even started to see some of the cracks in the playoffs leading up to this team. Like I talked about the NFC West teams getting better. We just look at the NFC getting better. Look at the two teams they played in the playoffs leading up to the Super Bowl. They should have. I believe if they didn't get a couple lucky breaks, they should have lost to both the Packers and the Lions. Those games were both very close, and the Niners had a couple of very lucky breaks in both of those games. Cough, cough, the whole fucking Ayuk bullshit thing against the Lions where it goes off the defender's like head or whatever and pops up to Ayuk. Like if that play doesn't happen, the Lions are in the Super Bowl. So I do think the cracks are somewhat starting to show in the foundation. The conference around them is getting better. Like the NFC has been a weak conference for a while. Now they're starting to face a little bit more competition.
I actually, you could definitely make an argument that
it's nowhere near AFC level.
You don't.
It's nowhere near AFC
I guess.
level.
Actually, now that I'm looking at it, but it's still
nowhere near
the
AFC
amount
level.
of talent.
But it's getting much better. It's getting much better, especially with some of the teams in the North, like the Packers and Lions posing a real threat. So yeah, I just think this will be a super interesting year for them. Obviously, I mean, there's not too much I can like defend in terms of a hot take or anything because I pretty much have them where I think most people would expect them. Maybe it's a bit of a hot take to not have them number one in the conference, but I have another team rising up and taking that mantle from them, and I guess we'll see who that is next week.
Maybe not next week. Maybe not next week. But I have them second in the conference, so I'm with you on that one.
Yeah, we both do. Yeah.
What did you say your record for them? I feel like you didn't.
12-5. So
okay, I have them 13-4.
I don't know.
And
I believe
that mine might be more interesting then, because I have them going 13-4 and still being second.
So 13-4 is a one-game improvement from where they were last year. They were all. I have them going the same. My division is actually pretty chalky when it comes to just like leading up to last year. Seahawks are just one win better. Rams are the same. Cardinals are one win better. Niners are the same.
Yeah.
But I mean, I don't. Yeah. Even though I do think this division has changed a lot, I think the power structure will stay the same. A year or two down the line, I think that's when we might start to see that change.
Yeah, probably. I don't disagree with any of that. I think you're totally right. I think what have we revealed here? So I on the NFC side, we have okay. So who did you have at the top of your NFC East? Again,
I had the Eagles.
right.
So the playoff teams. You go first.
So far we've revealed.
So
I've revealed my
East
number
and-
2.
East and West.
Yeah, I've revealed my number
Yep.
2, which is the 49ers, and I've revealed my number 3, which is the Eagles.
What
And
about
then
for
as
your,
well-
your wild
Oh,
cards?
yeah, sorry. For my wild cards, the only one, there's none from the NFC East. The Seahawks make it in 6th.
Okay. So we're pretty much on the same page there. I have the Niners in 2nd. I have the Eagles in 3rd. Then I have the Rams in 6th at 10-7. The Seahawks in 7th, also at 10-7. So I've still got to reveal 2 other division winners and 1 other wild card.
Okay.
That wild
Well, there
card's
you go.
definitely coming from the NFC South.
Definitely. Anyway, we both have the Falcons going 17-0. I'm sorry to spoil it. I think that's which one are we talking about next week?
That's a good question. So we got 2 more AFC divisions. South or East? What are you feeling? They're both pretty spicy.
Yeah, that's true. They're both good. I don't know. I kind of like South. South's fun.
Yep. Let's go with the South.
Okay, let's do South. So we'll do that next
We
week.
can absolutely do AFC South. Yep.
Okay, AFC South next week. We're getting close. Something we actually will talk. Never mind. It's a weird way to end the segment, but never mind. Actually, no. I can probably say this. Is it next week? Next week we're not doing an episode.
Yep.
Yes, correct. There will be no episode
Correct.
next. I can say that. Which means that at some point we're gonna have to double them up. I was thinking about that.
Yeah, we will. But
I
that's
don't know.
okay.
I don't know if we want to do that like. I don't know if we want to do that like next week.
Pick a
or
week
if we
where
want-
there's nothing going on.
Yeah, that's true. Maybe so. There's no point in throwing it out there. We'll save that for a rainy day.
It's August. It's August. I mean, there's not much going on anyways.
Very
so.
true. Very true. Alrighty. Well, we haven't even really talked about which one we're doing next. So hey, look forward to that next mystery thing. Yeah.